Yeah, it looks like we're already starting off here with the this seed is the worst text box from the uncle. Because as Korek already mentioned, this is a standard seed, so we gotta have to do like the old Zelda rescuing in the Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, and we're starting out with bombs in Link's house, which is really nice. That's one of the things in standard that you're looking for right away. And with those already, we might see our runners just get through here as fast as possible, not do much.
Yeah, definitely. Like bombs is one of the worst things in standard, like very early on that you have your mind on. And yeah, seeing both dropping into the uncle, we will get a sword here since this is the uncle short category for the swords. So that's always nice.
Yeah, that's a fairly vanilla shield there too. So coming out of the secret passage here with a very vanilla setup. And so because this is an all dungeon seed and key sanity on top of that, we probably won't see a whole lot of map checks unless it becomes relevant. So things like the 5-6 crystals or the green pendant, although you can find those out by talking to NPCs. So it very well could be the case that we never even see a map check in this seed.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably gonna require a couple of map pickups first for the map check to be worth it, in my opinion. So let's see how these runners do it. And speaking of key sanity and standard mode, we also are gonna see the Hyrule Castle small key here very shortly, since we cannot progress further without it. Like in that one door in the sewer spot.
And that's a very nice early item to find here. We have the Cane of Samaria already. The one thing that can be useful with knowing what the crystals and pendants are is because this is an all dungeon seed, there could be required progression items for the pendant dungeons in Ganon's Tower, or even locked behind items in Ganon's Tower in one of the other pendant dungeons. So what those pendants are could help you, with your late game routing.
Yeah, that's true. Like as a runner, you don't want to see that. As a viewer, maybe you want to see that, maybe you don't.
Yeah, but our runners are pretty much in the same room through the escape sequence here. Gem with a small lead, but about half a room here.
Yeah, but it's really like these small of time saves that add up. I mean, it's like 3 minutes in, and it's like already half a room, like 5 seconds, and it just adds up over the run, and that's why this like particular mode is such a good pick for like execution strong players.
Yeah, and here, like you said, you can see it pretty easily. If you were to, compare times in, say, a go mode dungeon, you never really get a head-to-head comparison. Well, rarely get a head-to-head comparison, but you would see the same thing where the stronger execution runner just gets, half a second per room, 1 second per room, and by the time the dungeon's over, they have a 15-second lead or a 10-second lead.
And also seeing Gem do a little bit of pumping here and there. I don't know if Hitsuyan does it. Doesn't look like it, at least not in that room. Well, we got more progression in Escape.
Yeah, we do have those early flippers. From what I've seen when I've been playing, you get a lot of those Y and A items really early in Key Sanity, and then those kind of unlock the first set of keys you get, and then those unlock some more items, and then those unlock the rest of the keys. That's kind of the flow of the seed from most Key Sanity seeds from what I. And in the back of Escape Gear, we do find the Moon Pearl and a red boomerang, which more than anything at this point will probably help with menuing. It could also be useful to check a stun prize if they're a little bit short on, say, money for Zora. They do have those early flippers. So the interesting thing with those early flippers, they will not be able to houlihan until they find the boots or the gloves. Okay, so they can houlihan whenever they want.
So I gotta disagree in one aspect of what you just said, because we are playing hard mode, so the boomerang doesn't actually stun enemies.
That's a great correction.
So that's really only useful for menuing, but it helps a lot, to be honest. Like, missing that boomerang in your menu is always a pain. So I'm pretty sure both are happy to find that, like, in a room with like other chests. So it's like on the way. We do get a little bit of route divergence, like very early on here.
Yeah, we do see Hitsuyan going up to check the Lumberjack ledge, while Gem is finding the Desert Palace Big Key in the Lost Wood. And I definitely missed that the first time. Was that a small key on the Lumberjack?
I missed it both times, sadly. I tried to look for it again, but the screen is like a little bit chopped off at the top, so it was really hard to see. So it's gonna be up to our imagination what's on Lumberjack until Gem goes there, I guess. So
Gem doing an interesting route here, going to the immediate Ice Rod Cave check, making use of those flippers. We'll have to see where he goes from here, because I don't know if I've ever seen this exact play before.
Maybe he just hops into the whirlpool again and continues his like Kakariko tour. I don't think that's like too bad of a play. Or maybe he just goes along and checks like the flipper stuff minus Zora. Oh, no, he goes back. All right.
I mean, that might be the fastest way to do it, come to think of it. We are seeing Blind Sut, and we get a mushroom. Early fetch quests often seem to block progression items, so we'll have to see how long they wait to turn that in. The flippers make it kind of easy, because you can just take the whirlpool south of Link's house without even having to set up a fix.
Yeah, that's true. And also with that cane in the inventory, I feel like someone might reset to like keep the mushroom for fake powdering if it like turns out to be nothing. Not sure what their stance is on fake powdering though.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's the type of play that could potentially give Hitsuyan an advantage in a seed like this, if the powder was in GT or something. We do see the hook shot and the small key to Thieves Town in the well.
And that small key to Thieves Town is definitely one of the like items that might get you as a runner. Because more often than not, you end up having to go to Thieves Town without that small key, and you leave behind that big chest. And it always like keeps lingering in your mind. So definitely a good pickup very early on here.
Yeah, and the other good thing about that small key to Thieves Town, if you only had the big key, not only are you guaranteed to leave that big chest behind, but the randomizer won't expect you to need any item besides the Maiden's Chest until you find that small key. So trying to figure out when to make that Thieves Town play can be a little bit difficult.
Only a hard piece in the library. Let's see if Hitsuyan elects to check the race game blind, which he does, and I think that's a good idea in Key Sanity especially. Because I feel like the probability is way higher that there's like any item of interest on the race game compared to like regular open mode.
Yeah, and in this case, even some rupees is kind of nice. So, yeah, see, Hitsuyan thought about saving quitting, but he's like, well, I have those flippers. Zora is available, and I'm not quite there yet to the 500. So, not a bad decision at all.
Yeah. But yeah, apart from that, like, Ice Rod Cave detour from Gem there, pretty standard routing from both people. Hitsuyan gonna continue his route towards the dam here. Let's see if he goes over to Mini Modem Cave next, or just goes to Agnes Cave maybe. Feel like that's also a good play against runners that you feel like are more experienced. Because more often than not, you will delay that Agnes Cave check like until forever into the steep basically, and if you can get like a good item very early on in there, it's gonna be very huge if your opponent doesn't check it.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have something like the bow just sitting there because the bow doesn't block all that much in this game, and you know, if you got that early, that could be a huge advantage against a player that checks it at an hour 30.
Yeah.
We are seeing Gem going to turn in that mushroom. And since he did just save and quit, this would be an opportunity, if he chose to do so, to do the hard reset to save it if it is not something worth.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost a must-do in all Dungeons Key Sanity. Just because of what you said earlier with like powder locking something, but we have a small key here to Ganon's Tower, so might not want to reset that.
Yeah, it's a little tricky of a choice, but hanging on to it makes a lot of sense. So.
He's then going over to his Ice Rod Cave check. And we did see the map of Hera and another map in Mini Modem Cave, but no map check yet still. It's probably gonna take a while until we know where the crystals and pendants are.
Yeah, and we did find the cape here, and I think we have one of the castle tower keys. So, we don't have the lamp yet. We still need a second key, but this could end up being a forced Aga for Dark World.
Yeah, we still have a lot of overworld to clear, and I feel like both runners are gonna delay that Aga play a while, because it's really, I mean, yeah, obviously they don't have the second castle tower key and not the lamp, so it probably takes a while.
Yeah, if say the second castle tower key is actually vanilla, they're gonna get that as a last location for sure.
What's the Thief Zone map that Hitsuyan already found in Mini Modem Cave? Bunch of small keys.
Yep, and Gem swimming on over to Hobo.
Ooh, getting a Master Sword. That's not too bad.
No, absolutely not. It definitely makes things a lot easier from here on out. Now, Gem is swimming out of Hobo. Does not yet have the Zora money, so he could opt to go to Sahashala, or he could continue on to Zora's.
And we see Hitsuyan reading one of the hint ties that was added in version 30. Not giving us like any sort of useful information, saying bombs are locked behind the hammer.
You get our second Ganon's Tower small key from the Waterfall Cave. Hitsuyan, meanwhile, is going over towards Sahashala.
And only a blue rupee at the Zora ledge, so the Zora check has to wait a while. But we see that Ice Palace is gonna be our green pennant in the seat. There's the second Castle Tower key.
Yeah, with the Master Sword showing up, the second Castle Tower, we need a lamp. We're not going to be sequence breaking in the dark rooms, but I would not be surprised at all if it's a hard requirement for Dark World access to go through Agate.
Yeah, it looks a lot like it. And also with the hookshot in hand, we have like a large part of the Dark World open if we do Aga, so... Wouldn't be too surprised if the lamp was here in the Eastern Palace.
Yeah, and the one interesting location where the lamp could be is actually the first chest in Agate Tower. That is not yet a dark room, so it can certainly... If you're joining us a little bit late, we do have a all dungeons, standard, Uncle Assured Sword, hard key sanity seed. The most interesting part of that, maybe for a viewer, would be the key sanity, where the small keys and big keys that are in chests, as well as the maps and compasses from the dungeons, are shuffled into the item pool, so they can be found anywhere in the overworld, and you will need to find the vast majority of them to finish the seed. Maybe not vast majority, but majority.
Yeah, I feel like as both runs are like approaching their last locations, I would feel like Zora and also Aghanor's Cave is gonna be on their minds. Also, I'm kind of surprised, now that I think about it, that Hitsuyan did not check East Death Mountain when he was already up there.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting decision. We do see our first bottle, which puts a pretty out-of-the-way item location into play.
Oh, did it just say the GT Big Key was in GT?
Yeah, we have a vanilla Ganon's Tower Big Key today, so maybe we will get to play the guessing game later on.
already got like taken away the best part about Key Sanity is just heading straight into GT, straight going upstairs without needing to find the big key.
Yeah, that's a more of a rarity in all dungeons, Key Sanity, but it still can happen, but not.
to find the Swamp Bicky here in Paradox Cave on Gem's side. He's gonna come up to 5 more chests here. That might or might not allow him to skip Aghanim. Yeah, Aghanim. That's his name.
Well, Gem will be very happy to find that item. We got the boots here in Paradox Cave. So Hitsuyan did find a 300 rupee drop there in Eastern Palace. So now he can full clear the Zora area, which it looks like he is about.
What sprite is Hitsuyan using, by the way? Do you know that? It looks like some kind of mutated link.
Is it the CDI link or something like that? Find the Bombos medallion here in Spiral.
So yeah, there's really only 4 locations open at the moment that could have progression in logic. Gem is gonna put these boots to good use, checking Bonk Rocks and maybe the Lumberjack.
Yeah, we should probably get a better look at that Lumberjack item here momentarily. But just a compass there in the Bonk Rock. So we are still looking for that lamp or even still the hammer. It is looking a lot like the Aga required for Dark World, but doesn't have to be. So we'll have to see.
Wait, it's just a blue rupee in the Lumberjack Cave. Chat is already giving us weird ideas about lamp and hammer in Castle Tower.
I mean, that would be pretty funny. Because it's all dungeons, they would just go and finish it anyway, but...
Alright, Zara, what do you have today? It's just another map.
Yeah, so... it's either at Agina or in Aga Tower. I think that's all we haven't seen so far.
Already have also have Sickit open.
Oh, right. We do have Sickit.
So yeah, it's one of these 3 locations.
And I did notice that Gem did check the stun prize before. I don't know if Hitsuyan did, but it is 1 bomb, so that could be useful later if they...
Yeah, because the hookshot, other than the boomerang, which does not stun in hard mode, the hookshot does stun enemies, and you can check the stun price that way. And you probably should if you play a hard seed.
Yeah, especially with the V30 update, where we no longer have the item upgrades or the capacity upgrades in the item pool. You do have to manage your resources a little bit better. So to know if you can get arrows or bombs from a simple stun, that can be very...
And Gem is also still looking for that Zora money, probably. Like, it's still in the back of his mind, I'm pretty sure. And sitting at 419 rupees, that's not a lot to go until 500.
Hitsuyan got his boots and will be checking Spiral Cave momentarily. And Gem got his big key hint. Knows that he will have to search Ganon's Tower at least a little.
So where would you go next? Would you just like go into Aga Tower and say, all right, I'm just gonna do it in the dark? Because both Sickit and Agon are kind of far away-ish.
Man, you know, they are far away, but at the same time, doing Dark Agate Tower without the Fire Rod with 5 hearts. They do have Blue Mail, but man, that seems like a little bit of a task right now.
Yeah, I personally agree. I think checking the other 2 locations here is definitely the better play. But Gem apparently disagrees.
Yeah, I mean, it's an aggressive play, no doubt about it. But you know, if he's confident, then it could end up.
Yeah, sure. I think the only thing that like would be bad for him right now if Hitsuyan finds the hammer in. I guess we only have Agoner's Cave left.
Yeah, because Sitka is just holding the map to Palace of Darkness, so that is not the answer.
Alright, it's neither the hammer nor the lamp. We got Titansmiths here in Castle Tower as our Dark World Axis.
So that's a little bit surprising, but at the same time, you know, it could be logically an Aga. Well, we do have the flippers, so it would be pretty hard for it to be logically Aga for East Dark World, East Dark World at the.
When we find the Misery Maya Biki in the second chest in Aga Tower.
Yeah, and Gem opting to just peace out after that. You know, he has his Dark World access. No reason to rush for the Castle Tower climb, especially because he has his nice Dark Death Mountain here to.
Oh, interesting would be if Hitsuyan is like actually gonna find the hammer here in Agoner's Cave.
Yeah, if there is some big value item that would make other things more efficient, like the hammer or even like the mirror, this could work out really well for.
Or the Fire Rod, maybe?
Yeah, the Fire Rod. Speaking of items that would be efficient and don't block too much. Wow, that's a really great find for Hitsuyan. We have no idea how long it's going to take Gem to get there.
Yeah, and Gem on the other hand found the lamp and the bow here on Dark Death Mountain already.
Yeah, so Hitsuyan will be getting his mitts momentarily, but Gem does have a little bit of a lead as far as that goes. The real question right now is, what about that fire?
I imagine it's gonna take a while until Gem goes back, because with the items he has in hand right now, he can check a whole lot. And we also saw that the required medallion for T-Rock is vanilla, so it's gonna be the Quake medallion.
Unfortunately, Hitsuyan does not have magic. I do wonder if he had a full magic bar, if he would have continued that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like if you had like full magic, you should probably do it. If you know where the torches are located in the rooms. But if you feel like very uncomfy doing that, you probably shouldn't.
So unfortunately for Hitsuyan, he is not checking Dark Death Mountain right now. The good thing is that over here on the West Dark World, the bow and the lamp are not going to give him all that much. So as long as he makes it up there before too long, it shouldn't really be much of an issue.
Yeah, both runners are kind of syncing up here right now. Jem remembering he had that Skyward small key makes routing a little bit easier if you go in from the front.
Yeah, in Key Sanity, having that small key allows you to make a pretty nice route here from the front door. If you don't have that, then you pretty much have to drop in.
Oh yeah, chat bring up a good point here. We actually need the flute for Death Mountain, or like for the lamp to be in logic. Because we sequence broke up there to get the lamp from Death Mountain, so we're still missing the flute somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. The flute cannot be on Death Mountain or behind anything that was on Death Mountain.
I think we only found bombos and boots apart from bow and lamp.
Yeah, I don't think there were many useful keys up there, but bow, lamp, bombos, boots.
And at least lamp blocks a few items where they don't need to go and search for the flute, so that's gonna help a little bit. Bow doesn't lock too much though, neither do boots, so...
And now we're going to get to see if that early fire rod gives Hitsuyan an immediate advantage. Not the easiest setup for Moth, but he does have Master Sword, so he should be just fine.
I also peeked at his menu. He still has that blue potion from Eastern Palace. So he should be fine. Jem, meanwhile, in Village of Outcasts, checking the Sea House, getting a map for GT. It's probably one of the useless maps in this mode. When Hitsuyan getting grabbed here while lighting the torches in the back of Skywoods.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Just has to come through a couple rooms again. Oh, we do see the Eastern Palace big key on Gem's side that will allow him to full clear that dungeon when he chooses to go back.
I feel like giving Hitsuyan kind of a hard time here, just hiding in the top right corner.
Yeah, not only that, but the spikes all seem to converge right wherever he was at any given.
Meanwhile, Gem is checking the first 4 chests in Thieves Town. Can't progress any further without the big key, which is not that one.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Hitsuyan taking a death here.
And Gem taking a death too, but that one was on purpose, so he could get out of the dungeon a little bit quicker. Gonna be interesting to see if Hitsuyan bails out on Morph here, or if he's gonna go back after checking that chest. I think he's had enough of Morphula.
Definitely understandable, but also unfortunate, because we do know from our perspective that that is one of the places where he could have potentially gained a little bit of an edge here. It does look like Gem is heading back up to pick up the Smith for a world tour.
It definitely makes sense, since, as we mentioned earlier, in this All Dungeons Christianity, you will most likely clear like 90% or even more of the game. So just bring it with you as you can. He might have the mirror, which would be a huge find.
Yeah, and I would not be surprised to see Gem take this route all the way up to Catfish. We mentioned off the top that we kind of expect him to be very thorough and complete in what he's doing here.
And I think Hitsuyan is actually filling up his magic and heading straight back to Moth, at least it looks like.
Yeah, and that could end up being a really good choice for him. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, Gem coming up on Hype Cave, getting a small key to Pod.
And a bunch of junk.
Yeah, so we don't really have all that much available in Logic. We have the first couple of chests in Palace of Darkness that are available logically, and we also have about half of Ice Palace, actually, that's available in Logic. Now, Gem does not know that that part of Ice Palace is logically available, because for him, Bombos was on Death Mountain. But Hitsuyan does know that Fire Rod is in that early Sphere 1 Agena Cave, and he could make a gamble there.
Alright, he's heading straight back to Mothula, which is... I mean... From our perspective, it's probably a very good play. From his perspective, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. I can understand why he's doing it. He probably just wants to gain confidence, and maybe a little bit of stubbornness too. Who knows? But Gem, meanwhile, finding that tempered sword on the pyramid, I'm sure Hitsuyan would like to have that right now.
Yeah, Hitsuyan got a bit bullied there in the corner and decides to just take a death before he wastes any magic to refill his hearts. And yeah, that tempered sword in hand for Gem is gonna be the last sword we will find in this seed, because hard mode only goes up to tempered sword and also only up to blue mail, so Gem is pretty much like done with his offensive and defensive equipment.
Yeah, and what we just saw here, Gem elected to skip out on Catfish and also skip out on the Smith. If you go and grab Kiki, you can only have one follow at a given time, and Kiki overrides the follower that's with you. So Smith just disappeared when we went into the bushes. No idea where he goes, but he's gone now, and Gem is here in Palace of Darkness.
And Hitsuyan really having a bad time here in Skywoods right now. Gonna take the slow approach here. Can't blame him for that.
Yeah, lucky he was still had damage frames from that sword spin when that Wallmaster fell down.
When Gem meanwhile finds the big key to Thieves Town, that will allow him to go back over to Village of Outcasts and check the rest of the dungeon. which he probably wants to delay a little bit, knowing that he does not have the hammer yet.
In Palace of Darkness, Gem did also find the silver arrows, which in hard mode cannot be used at any point except for in the Ganon. Meanwhile, we do see round 2 with Mothula for Hitsuyan.
Gem taking another Death Warp. Doesn't have the hammer, can progress on the right side in part, so doing that is probably the best idea. Way faster than running back, and Hitsuyan gets Mothula down. Let's see what's hiding in there. It's just gonna be some bombs, so that's not good. But we get a crystal. Not sure if it's a bonus crystal or not. And I have to peek at Hitsuyan's menu.
Yeah, the good news is he does have a crystal on the board. The bad news is it took a lot of time to just get bombs, essentially. So has a little bit of catching up to do at this point.
Gem finding all the Ganon Tower small keys.
Now, what's interesting for Gem is that they're running out of things that are in logic as far as they know. I believe the Thieves Town Big Key was still in logic, meaning not locked behind Death Mountain at all, as well as Catfish and Agina. But Gem is someone that keeps that in mind really well. So we'll have to see if it drives him to these other out-of-the-way locations before too long.
I think we still are. I think Smiths and Purple Chest are also still in logic.
Yeah, that is true.
But meanwhile, Gem's just sequence breaking more chests. With a nicely done hammer jump here in part. Probably one of the most important things to learn when you play Key Sanity. Because saving that one key is sometimes very crucial.
Yeah, and even though he does not yet have the hammer, I would not be surprised to see Gem go into the back of Thieves Town here. It is one of the most item-dense locations he has left. And then he proves me wrong immediately.
Maybe the Eastern Palace play? Or maybe Ice, like half of Ice Palace, but I'm guessing it's gonna be Eastern Palace. Because nobody likes going into Ice without the hammer when you can do a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. He can finish off clearing this dungeon. There's 2 items left, and he does need to beat it. We don't know yet if it's a pendant or crystal, but it's irrelevant because this is all dungeons mode.
So Hitsuyan doing all the checks that Gem already did. Gem meanwhile in out of logic territory here with the Eastern Palace big chest and Armor's Knights.
That Desert Palace small key is a really nice find. They do not yet have access to Desert Palace, but once they do, they'll be able to clear it.
Yeah, and that actually, what I said was only partially correct, because that big chest is still in logic, just Armor's Knights is not. Because we found the
that's
lamp
true.
and the bow up on Death Mountain. And we know that if lamp is up on Death Mountain, then we still need the flute to make that in logic. And who knows where that is hiding. And Hitsuyan is gonna do something that you mostly see in Inverted, playing that arrow game, because he's shot a couple of rupees for the digging game. There's a fairly easy setup for this if you just stand right next to the guy, and every time these little guys with the hands are like on the second, what do you call that? Like the second column of the curtains.
The curtain, yeah.
Yeah, you just fire the arrow. You will always get it. It's fairly easy. So if you ever end up playing an inverted seat and you don't have enough money, but you're like right there already, just remember that easy setup.
Yeah, or if you're ever playing Rando Bingo.
Yeah. Bad memories on my end there.
So Hitsuyan cannot get this bee to leave him alone.
And yeah, Gem finally following that Thief's Town big key. I wonder if Hitsuyan is also gonna end up getting into part, or if he decides to turn in the Smith first. With only the mids as Darkwood access, probably was a very good idea from Gem to just abandon the frog and pick up the monkey instead.
Yeah, but with that said, Hitsuyan does have an opportunity to sequence in 2 checks that Gem did not do, which would be Catfish and the Smith. So, looking for these little spots where he could get a little bit of, find an item that makes things a little bit more efficient. This could be one of them.
And Gem checking that upstairs hint tile here in Thieves Town, but it's only a like funny hint, I guess, which can be seen with the greenish color and that little link face.
Yeah, so Hitsuyan electing to stop at the Hype Cave, so he won't be getting the sword on Pyramid or checking Catfish, but he will be getting this check of the Smith. So this will be a new one for us.
Meanwhile, Gem finding the hammer in Thieves Town. That's always a very interesting place to find the hammer.
Yep, hammer locked behind Palace of Darkness. Who would have thought?
Yikes.
And unfortunately for Hitsuyan, that Smith check only nets him a blue rupee. And we see the Quake Medallion in Thieves Town as well. That does open up a good portion of Turtle Rock. They do have a couple of the small keys, but Gem is missing that Fire Rod, and Turtle Rock is still out of sequence without the flute, so I don't expect to see that play quite yet.
And there's really not much left in sequence right now for Gem at this point. I think we only have like blind hammer packs, purple chest, and spike cave, catfish maybe.
Yeah, so that might end up being good for him. He might get to that Fire Rod a little bit sooner if he's keeping track of where everything was. He could elect to continue his sequence break and go to Ice Palace without the big key, he could get 7 items in the dungeon guaranteed, plus the green pendant item. Although that does isolate that Ice Palace big chest, and doing that as a sequence break, a little bit scary.
Yeah, neither blind nor the purple chest having progression here. Hitsuyan finally heading up to Dark Death Mountain. But I'm personally not too surprised that he goes for like a purple chest first here in this case, because he needs to make some wild plays to win against someone like Gem in this, especially in this kind of seed.
Yeah, under normal circumstances, the mirrorless purple chest before Dark Death Mountain would be a very odd play. But when you're up against a player that you feel you disadvantaged against, it makes a lot of sense. We do see Gem doing the Smith chain right now. Probably planning to route the purple chest in with the Guinness Cave, which would net him the Fire Rod.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. So that brings him back on Hitsuyan's. Hard to say that. Back on Hitsuyan's level, as that Fire Rod might have been like that one item that Gem could have potentially been missing for quite a while. But yeah, we'll see if he does that play, and I think it looks like Ice Palace actually is gonna be our next stop here, not before long.
Gem did elect to save and quit after the Smith turn in instead of grabbing the purple chest. He would have had to go up to the portal, obviously, but looks like we might be getting the out-of-sequence Ice Palace play.
Alright. Which still does put that Fire Rod farther away from him.
It absolutely does. It is the most item dense play available, so to that extent, it makes a lot of sense. But you know, who knows when he'll get to Guinness Cave to get that Fire Rod at this point.
Just got some information on what Sarshala's holding, and it's just gonna be a map. So we will definitely not see the green pendant turn in, at least not on Gem's side.
Yeah, you know, you go to Ice Palace, you're thinking, well, I can get 8 items out of this, and immediately you find out that one of them is useless. However, it will save you time, so not. And for those of us that, those of you that are just joining us, the reason why we're saying this is an out-of-sequence play from Gem's perspective is Bombos was on Death Mountain, which they sequence broke, and so was the lamp. So as far as Gem knows, he can't get in here, but we also know that the Fire Rod is in a Guinness Cave. So not actually a sequence break, Gem just thinks it is. Unless he forgot where he got Bombos, which is entirely possible too.
Some bombs require a bomb. Well, that's that's definitely gonna be at the top of my list for most useless hints ever.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one though.
So I'm kind of surprised. Like if Gem kept track of where he found bombos, like he must know that Flute is not far away. So it's either gonna be at Catfish, Agana, or in Spy Cave. So I'm kind of surprised he doesn't like go and grab that. At least that's probably what he's thinking, because Fire Rod would not be the first first on my list of possible items that could be in that location.
Exactly. You would probably think it would be the flute or just something that opens up more the mirror. And that is a very interesting hint here. We find where the big key to Ice Palace is behind the Decane of Samaria. That could even be Ganon's Tower, because Ice Palace is a pen.
And that could lead to a bunch of very, very nasty plays, considering what the other penance might be.
So we did see Hitsuyan finishing up Eastern Palace. We do see the flute on Gem's side.
I would be very surprised if I were Gem right now, but he should know that the Fire Rod is out there. At this point, he should know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also got the Tower of Hera Big Key, which is a good find, but there's not really a convenient way to get the Tower of Hera at this point, even though it is clearable.
And with that flute, we have access to the Maya area, maybe even Misery Maya itself, depending on what medallion that is. When we find the Ice Rod here in Ice Palace as well. So yeah, Gem looking really good at the moment. If he kept track of all the logic that went on in the seed. If he didn't, however, that's gonna be fairly rough then to get back to that Fire Rod.
Hitsuyan's giving us a check of the catfish. It seems like he just gets a blue rupee for all of these checks that he does that Gem doesn't do.
Yeah, and that's kind of unlucky for him, because he has to bank on like purple chest and catfish and all these like one-off locations that Gem might be skipping, and nothing works out for him. That's not what you want to see against like a strong opponent like Gem.
Yeah. So what Hitsuyan does have going for him, though, is he's on his way to the pyramid, where he will get his tempered sword, and presumably after that he'll be on his way to Palace of Darkness, where he will get the Feasttown Big Key, which will lead him eventually to the hammer.
Meanwhile, Gem is dropping down into his Cold Stare fight. Let's see what strat he elects to use here.
I don't think that was the intended strat.
Nah, I don't think so either. So with that death, he probably lost as much time as Hitsuyan did in the back of Skywoods earlier. Because getting back to Cold Stare takes a huge amount of time.
Yeah, it really does. Gem opting not to redo it right now. My guess is the Ice Palace Big Key hint is playing into that a little bit. He probably feels somewhat comfortable that there might not be anything he needs immediately. And by that I mean there's a very good chance the Ice Palace Big Key is locked behind Ganon's Tower. Meanwhile, Hitsuyan's making his way through Palace of Darkness.
And I'm guessing Gem is gonna hit up that Maya area in a minute. Ooh, he's missing the bird here, sadly. Oh, he wanted to miss that? Oh, he's probably gonna pick up the purple chest.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. He's here. It's never going to be any easier than just going and picking it up right.
It's probably one of his last visits over here to the West Dark World area anyway. And you don't want to leave that behind. Especially if you know that Hitsuya might gamble on that kind of stuff. Or like on these checks. So you really don't want to miss out an important item on that.
Right, and he should know that this is one of the few possible locations for the fire rod for him, or at least progression leading to the fire rod. It's not there, but it's just one of the few spots that it could be from his perspective.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Looks like he's heading over to Agnes Cave. You know what, Hitsuyan is taking a death here in Palace of Darkness. I don't know if that was intended or not. But
yeah, I think it was a death warp from the right side.
Well, he's choosing to check that lobby chest, which we did not see from Gem, I think. He checked that chest in the back portion, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, using a pod small key and only getting a map out of it, that's not what you want to see when you're making that play.
Alright, looks like we are locked out of Misery Maya for now. Having two vanilla required medallions here.
Yeah, and Mire coming up empty too. So Tower of Hera is a bit of a pain to get to, but Tower of Hera and Turtle Rock seem to be the two best plays available right now.
Yeah, we don't have anything left on Gem's end.
Well, just Catfish, and we know Gem's
not
check Catfish right now.
Yeah, I think Hera's slightly more interested. Yeah, still missing that mirror hurts so much in in that kind of seed where it's like very long seed just from the mode selection, and yeah, you kind of can route everything in like very good. Lots of save and quits. And Hitsuyan here on the right side with a slightly old-fashioned hammer jump, holding out his sword. Looking good to me, and he gets it done. And even with like a slightly older and more like a slower setup, it's still faster to do that instead of running around 10 minutes searching for that part small key. So
yeah, absolutely.
Learning that hammer jump, no matter what, is a must-do for Keysanity.
And as is often the case, we're getting a hint right after it would be useful.
Yeah.
Although I would say that hint is pretty useful. He knows that the Pyramid Fairy is junk and he does not need to do that check, which is a pretty lengthy check. And Hitsuyan is going to Thieves Town, so this will net him the hammer. and really get him on the way to the next part of the seed, which we know is Ice Palette.
Yeah, unfortunately, he already fell quite a bit behind. But with killing Coaster in his first attempt, he might be able to gain back some of the time he lost in mainly back of Skywoods.
Yeah, and not all that much here in Tower of Hera outside of that blue pendant.
Yeah, so it's either gonna be Spy Cave or the couple of chests in Tiro.
Yeah, and given that Gem cannot yet full clear Turtle Rock, but is very close to being able to do so, checking Spike Cave here first makes all the sense in the world.
I wonder if Catfish is on his mind right now. Probably is.
Yeah, and also Skull Woods. He could opt to go and get those 2 items before he makes his way to Turtle Rock.
Alright, he did not do Skywoods yet.
Or do all of Desert Palace, too.
And
so the one really awful thing about getting that book right there is...
I think we are thinking about the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Without the mirror, Ether Tablet is pretty much the most isolated single location possible, and it could have a required progression.
Yeah, especially it's especially bad if it's the mirror, in fact.
Yeah, and it could absolutely be there.
So Hitsuyan making his way through Thieves Town with 1 heart left. Hopefully he's gonna be able to pick up these pots in the next room without much issue. Gem meanwhile in Desert Palace. Very good knowledge with the magic pot there.
Yep. Trying to fill up his magic, but I think he's probably a little bit upset with himself because he forgot to route this right to left. And if you key sanity, if you come in with everything, it is a little bit faster to just start at the right side and then just work your way around in a big circle. But not a huge time loss, but does save you a couple transitions.
Yeah, but this seed is kind of exactly what Gem wants by picking that mode. It's like you get 1 item that you know opens up 1 place, and then you get another item in that place that opens up like 1 other place. So it's very linear, and that's exactly what Gem wants.
And that's also what Gem wants, a hint that tells him, go ahead and skip left side of swamp, no big deal.
With these keys that Gem just collected in the last 2 locations, pot is very much clearable. Not in logic clearable, but it is doable.
Yeah, and even if the next intended progression is in the front of Turtle Rock, it makes a lot of sense to clear the places you can clear completely in case you find an extra Turtle Rock small key to let you finish the dungeon on your first try.
Meanwhile, Hitsuyan is gonna do his Hammer Packs check, which I believe did not lead to anything. Oh, misses the second row by Pixel or 2.
So that missed lamp there will actually decrease the number of fire rod shots for Gem by 1. I bet you that not very happy about that.
I think he will be fine still, so. Oh no. Misses the second cycle just by that one fire rod shot.
All right, so that's a lot of pod keys hanging out there in Desert Palace. And meanwhile, we do see Hitsuyan making his way to Ice Palace. One of the places he can make us some time is if he's able to get Cold Stare on the first go here.
Did we check the Desert Ledge item? I can remember Gem go and check that. Maybe earlier when he went to the Maya area.
I'm assuming that he fluted to Desert Palace, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, so I'm guessing he saw the item on his way in, but yeah, I don't recall what it was.
Alright.
Chat is telling us it was a red rupee. I have no reason to doubt that.
Yeah, shoutouts to chat, and also shoutouts to our tracker, Portal Science, who does a fantastic job keeping all the items here on screen, making our lives a lot easier.
Now, Gem is rushing towards Helmasaur, but there are a couple other chests here to check if he elects to do so. He does have the vanilla big key chest left and the big chest left.
I feel like doing Hammer first is better though, because you can just save and quit after when you're at the big chest instead of having to go all the way back.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. It does take a while to check those chests. I still think he's going to, because there's never a good time to come back here.
Yeah, with Easter done and already knowing that Sarshala holds, I think a map it was, we won't ever come back to this area. So this is the last time Gem is going to be over here. And you don't want to leave behind an item in all dungeons key sanity.
We saw Gem use the red boomerang strat. I think that is in one of the speed runs. I don't know exactly which one it is. Maybe it's I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think it's a glitch one. But it's a pretty sweet strat. You just do a diagonal magical boomerang upright.
Oh, but you can also do that with the blue boomerang. It's just a very tight window to be able to throw it and still make it to the other side. But yeah, Gem gets hammered down and gets rewarded with a compass, which is not what he wants to see. He wants to see some sort of T-Rock small key, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, that would be really good. The mirror would be a great item. It would allow a clear of Swamp Palace, which would potentially have the small key as well as other items.
Or maybe even that Ice Big Key is something. Yeah, but that's not going to be in part, though, since it's locked behind some area. Which we know from the hidden Ice Palace.
Yeah, and that's a pretty, it's a pretty useful logic hint, right? So just because he knows that if he doesn't find that key in Turtle Rock, he knows that whatever items are left in Ice Palace right now are not required to get into Ganon's Tower.
It seems like we got some sort of map check meanwhile, with Misery Mire being our last pendant, which definitely means that Ether could hide in GT.
So as far as keys go, we don't need all that many more. I think we need a small key to Swamp Palace, a Turtle Rock small key, and we know the Ganon's Tower big key is in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, we still need that mirror though.
Yeah, we need Mirror and we need Ether, but we're getting pretty close here. It sneaks up on you sometimes in Key Sanity.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You're in go mode before you realize it. Also, chat telling us that Gem apparently skipped out on the pod big chest. I can not remember him going back for that either.
Yeah, that's a really good point. He went and got the map out of the vanilla big key chest, but I don't think he went all the way back to the big chest. So that's a bit of a gamble at this point.
Oh, and gets grabbed here.
That doesn't seem right.
Get what? Okay. That's... He definitely did that to manipulate the RNG on the Moth. No, we have no idea what happened there.
Yeah, I don't think that... Yeah, I've never seen that. Oh, he also...
Oh, I know what happened. Since he jumped down into that vanilla Bicky chest in part, he activated the... Yeah. All right. So he accidentally activated a glitch, which did not help him in any way right now. So I think by getting grabbed out of the dungeon, he disarmed it, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, so he activated Major Glitch by accident, which, if that happens, basically you get yourself in a situation where it can no longer, benefit you, which is what he did. He got grabbed out, and now he, has no, he's no longer under the EG. Really interesting. That's a new one.
But yeah, meanwhile we see Hitsuyan killing Coldstay. I did not see what the item was. He got the green pendant though. Definitely made up a little bit of time if there's no progression in Ice Palace Big Chest. Small key to T-Rock on Coldstay. That could be not good for Gem.
Yeah, that tells us that the Ice Palace Big Key is in Turtle Rock as well. Within the first 3 chests.
Alright. Because Key Sanity does not expect you to kill Coldstay without the big key, right?
Yep, that's absolutely right. So potentially that will let Hitsuyan single dip Turtle Rock, and if Gem does not find a vanilla small key, he might have to do another double dip on top of the already required trip back into Ice Palace.
At this point, might even be a triple dip into Ice if, let's say... Oh no, never mind. Don't listen to me. I sometimes say weird stuff that's not correct, so that was one of these times.
It happens to all of us.
Alright, well, it looks like Hitsuyan is making his way to Desert, and chat did not lie to us. There was indeed a big 20 on the Desert Ledge. Ooh, and Gem actually going ahead, checking that Ether tablet. I think this is the one convenient time we can do that without the mirror, so pretty good play here on his part.
Yeah, it's never going to be more convenient. It's still like a 30-second check, though, for one item, so it's a little bit unfortunate, but, he is getting it out of the way. Only getting a blue rupee, but some peace of mind there.
So Gem, this Galaxy play, solving the very difficult T-Rock pack puzzle here. Granting him access to the top of T-Rock, opening it up with his Quake Medallion. And Hitsuyan actually not doing Desert Palace. Oh, he doesn't have the book from Spike Cave yet.
Okay. He does have the Hera big key, so he's making that Hera play. We did see Gem do this at the same time in the seed, so hopefully after he does Hera, he will make that Spike Cave trip.
We also got knowledge from that hint that the Swamp Palace big chest holds a Misery Mire small key, so we won't be seeing that. So Swamp Palace is pretty much how you want it to be. Nothing on the left side, nothing in the big chest. Just go in there, kill the boss, grab the chests that are kinda along the way. Though we do have the Swamp Palace big key, so in key sanity doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, the only way it would matter is if you had a forced Cannon's Tower dip for pendant dungeons and you found the Swamp Palace big key there.
And there's our Ether Medallion, by the way. In the right side of T-Rock and Gems, not sure what to do. Oh, he just wanted to grab that full magic refill. So he's probably gonna head over to Misery Mire now.
I'm wondering, I don't think he got the Ice Palace big key there.
So it's probably gonna be in Misery Mire then?
Yeah, I guess it has to be on Vidi. This play makes sense from Gem. He does not have enough keys to complete the dungeon, so instead of trying to go all the way to Laser Bridge, he has now a dungeon that he can full clear and hopefully find the items he would need to full clear Turtle Rock while he's there. And we do see Hitsuyan getting his blue pendant from Tower of Hera, and now is a pretty important decision point for him. Does he go into Spike Cave to find his Book of Medora?
Looks like T-Rock is his choice. I think it makes a lot of sense from his point of view, because he definitely can clear T-Rock with the 3 keys that he has.
Yep, absolutely. Makes a ton of sense. The only question is, depending on what he gets there, will he remember to go back for Spike Cave? Or will he even need to? If he finds the mirror, we know that the book didn't lead to anything on Ether Tablet.
It might be still... Like we're still looking for that Swamp Palace small key, by the way.
Yeah, that's definitely the really tricky one. Who knows? Who knows where it could be?
We know that it cannot be in GT though, since Swamp Palace is a crystal. And we also know that there's nothing of importance in GT apart from the GT Biggie.
Yeah, and Gem needs a Turtle Rock small key, but outside of that, all we need is that small key to Swamp Palace and the mirror, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I agree. Imagine that mirror sitting in the Ice Palace big chest. When's Hitsuyan gonna go back and check that? It's probably gonna be a while.
That is a completely plausible spot and would just be completely awful for Hitsuyan.
I mean, it would have been for Gem too. So if Mirror ends up being there, he's gonna be super happy that he died to goals there, which is funny in itself.
Yeah, presuming that Ice Palace Big Key is on Vitreous, which we expect it to be, I would expect him to go right back there before going to Turtle Rock, you know, clearing what he can, full clear, doing things he has to do anyway. And this is a hard mode seed, so both of our runners are sitting on 7 total hearts, and Hitsuyan right now down to half a heart in the Chain Chomp room. Not what you want to be on. Gem on 5 hearts going down towards Vitreous.
T-Rock and Misery Mine are probably the worst dungeons in hard mode. When there's another small key for Gem.
Yeah, so that is the 3rd Turtle Rock small key for Gem and the 4th that we've seen. So that could divert him to Turtle Rock, which would be a good thing unless the lava chest has something like the mirror, and it could turn things back around here.
And it's really coming down to where that mirror and that Swamp Palace small key is. But at this point I kind of expect one leading to the other, so...
And from Gem, we are seeing the spooky glitch.
We're just not gonna explain it, right?
Yeah, you know, things happen.
Things happen.
Hit, even though the fire rod's nowhere near it, it works. It just works.
Don't question it. It's just you go there, you fire out like spikes, and it works.
Wow, Gem cut that as close as possible with the quick magic drain for the cave.
Yeah, that was a pretty good kill considering he used all of his resources, and that might be the Ice Palace Big Key.
So the hint didn't lie. It was there, just waiting for it. Meanwhile, Hitsuyan gets a blue potion, which I'm sure he's actually not upset to find at this point. All right, so where do you go, Gem? You got the Ice Big Key, and you got the Turtle Rock Small Key.
Ooh, Hitsuyan getting lost a little bit here in that room. Alright. I don't know if that was intended that he dodged like all the fireballs, but that definitely looked super cool there.
Yeah, I don't think he got hit a single time by a firebar, which is pretty difficult to do, so kudos.
Yeah, can't blame him for getting that backdoor here. Just to make sure that he gets hit by the laser, falls down. That would be his death at this point, so... better be safe than sorry. That game drains super fast.
He found the boomerang, which really doesn't do anything at this point.
Has slight troubles here with the laser bridge. While Jam is on his way back to Cold Stay and the Ice Palace big chest.
Taking a death here on Laser Bridge. Lucky for him, he did take the safety door, so he'll respawn right here.
And we're also closing in on the last locations here for us. It's just gonna be That big chest and Ice Palace, Trinax, or Pedestal at this point. I think we checked everything else.
Yeah, and I'm getting worried for Hitsuyan's sake that he did not find anything here in Turtle Rock. Gem having a couple issues with his ice skating here, but gets through. About to show us that big chest.
Like, good for Hitsuyan, bad for Gem. Not necessarily bad, but...
Yep, as long as Hitsuyan does not go back to check that at some point in the seed, that will be a spot where he's catching up a little bit.
Well, yeah, chat reminding us, we still have that T-Rock Vanilla big key chest.
Yep, and Gem will be able to check that once he gets his small key from Cold Stare.
Well, the big key to Skywoods, alright.
Well, that's a new fetch quest for us. It very well could have progression at this point.
It's gonna be right next door to the pedestal when Hitsuyan maybe ends up doing Misery Maya very soon here. And yeah, Hitsuyan electing to not check that Spy Cave, so he's gonna be missing out on the Book of Mudora for now.
And as far as we know, it is not important. And the only item it could possibly lead to at this point that they need would be the Swamp Small Key.
Yeah, if it's on Bombo Sablet, I think. So yeah, sadly for us and for the viewers, we won't be seeing a new check here for a while, since it might take a while for Gem to get to the Vanilla Big Key chest, and Hitsuyan's gonna clear all of Misery Maya very likely at this point, so...
Yep, Hitsuyan's still just a little bit behind. He did have a bit of trouble early on in this seed from a couple deaths to Mothula, and really the Mummy Hellway gave him trouble for a little while. Gem also just had a really nice sequence checking Dark Death Mountain before starting on the Dark World, and found the lamp and the bow early, which pushed him towards Palace of Darkness, which pushed him towards the hammer. So it's just been a combination of routing and execution that has given Gem this lead.
Hitsuyan forgetting to pick up the full magic refill downstairs, has to go back down again, pick that up.
And Gem has not really skipped all that much. The only location he has not checked has been Catfish. I think he's pretty much full cleared everything else. The Pod Big Chest is one other exception.
All right.
Otherwise, we've seen most of it from Gem.
I wonder if that big chest is gonna hurt him in the end.
I mean, the further we go here without finding anything, the more likely it is possible, at least, that the mirror could end up there. Oh, chat also reminding us, he isolated Zora really early on, and I don't think he ever went back to check that.
He's probably waiting for that mirror to check both at once.
Well, we have a shovel in the lava chest, so we'll have to wait in anticipation to whether or not that is relevant for a little while here.
I don't know. I don't know if that's like more annoying for us or for the runners.
Well, I'll tell you, if Hitsuyan would have checked that with 3 small keys, that would have absolutely been more annoying because you have no idea what to do with that at that point.
Yes, it definitely has happened before that runners accidentally or intentionally open that chest, that door to the Vanilla Biggie chest. So good thing for Hitsuyan that he remembered. At least good thing for now. Also making good use of that cape here in the spike room in Misery Maya.
And there is another pretty awful spot for this small key to be. Did we get a hint from Mimic Cave?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Oh no. I think absolutely worst case for Hitsuyan is if that mirrors in the shovel spot and that Swamp Small Key is in Mimic Cave.
Yeah, that would end up being pretty awful. All right, both of our runners heading towards the end of their dungeons. Hitsuyan just has Vitreous left. Gem has the Laser Bridge and Trinet. Gem is up to a whopping 8 hearts at this point.
Yeah, I think 14 hearts is the max for hard mode, and we've not seen a lot of these hearts yet. Probably all hiding in GT, which is not a nice feeling as a runner. Since while you know what you're getting yourself into, you still want to be at like, I guess like 8 to 10 hearts to feel comfy. Along with that blue main.
Yeah, it's hard to ever really get comfortable when you're playing one of these hard mode seeds.
And Hitsuyan using that cape, dashing twice here, and then he's gonna refill his magic. Or like, refill his magic halfway, I guess. Gotta be careful here. Yikes.
Yeah, Vitreous is definitely one of the hardest, upgrades in hard mode. Especially when you're sitting on just 7 hearts.
Yeah, I want to say it's probably the worst boss in hard difficulty and higher. Because you cannot use silvers, you only have 10 bombs since version 30. Your magic drains faster, it's just a nightmare.
We have simultaneous big key and dungeon completion item grabs here with the Crystal Independent on the respective sides.
And I'm guessing that Hitsuyan's gonna head over to Palace of Darkness. Let's see what Gem does now. Because that's where things get interesting. I'm guessing it's gonna be the shovel spot into Pad and Skyward's big chest.
Yeah, that really seems to be the play. Or just straight to the pedestal.
Hitsuyan's actually also on the way over to that area. Wonder if we can get like a synced pad pull at 1 hour 40 minutes.
That looks to be like what's going on here.
Not even checking what the item is. I guess Hitsuyan can check. Oh no.
Synced bombs on the pedestal.
Hitsuyan immediately making good use of these bombs to show his displeasure with the item he got. Yeah, Gem is heading over to the shovel spot, not checking that Skyward's big chest.
Yeah, so if the progression's here, this would be really bad for Hitsuyan.
Uh-oh. That is really bad for Hitsuyan then.
Yeah, so we found the mirror. We are still a swamp small key from go mode at this point.
That might still be sitting in that pot big chest though, that Gem skipped earlier. That would be interesting actually if that's in there.
Yeah, it would be. It will be interesting to see how Gem routes in these mirror checks. He does have Graveyard Ledge, the South of Grove Ledge, the first chest, and Swamp Palace for that vanilla small key. There are a few good options, and then a few bad ones like Mimic Cave. Checkerboard Cave isn't that bad.
Hitsuyan's actually heading back for that Ice Palace big chest. I'm not sure why, if he has all of pot open.
I don't know if he found the big key to Palace of Darkness yet.
Oh right, where was that at?
That is a very good question.
Huh. Was that it? Oh, it was on the Desert Torch, wasn't it?
Oh no!
Oh yeah, it was. It was right next to the small key that was in the Desert Big Chest.
Yep, you are absolutely right. So the book is not required for that, but he would have to go get the mirror. Which might actually force him to the mirror earlier, but I kind of see him doing Spike Cave before going back for the Turtle Rock Vanilla Big Key Chest.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he... Well, maybe not. Seeing that he goes into Ice Palace before doing Spike Cave. Maybe he goes for that one chest in Tira. Not doing the bomb jump here is a very smart option.
And I think you called it. I think Gem was waiting to do Catfish and Zora combined with the mirror, but I bet he didn't think it would take this long to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to see Mirror as a last item in your seat.
Mirror is an item that allows you to route things together very efficiently. So when you're in a mode that really encourages efficient routing, getting it as your next to last item is not fun whatsoever.
But hey, I'm happy we found all these hints about small catalysts having junk. I guess now we know why it's that way, since we will end up go-moding that dungeon.
Yep, and the first couple checks for Gem coming up empty. So we do have the Grove Ledge, Bombo's Tablet, and first chest in Swamp. It looks to be Gem's next play. Given that Hitsuyan's waiting out this Dead Rock, I think he is heading back to Turtle Rock versus going to Spike Cave.
I just hope he hasn't forgotten about Spike Cave.
Yeah, you know, it's not a big deal yet, but the Bombo's Tablet is one of the very few locations left for that Swamp Small Key, so it still could very much be required.
And that seed in general, though, I don't know. That's not a seed I'd want to play, to be honest.
This has been a rough one. You know, the Turtle Rock small keys kind of bait you. You could get 3 in a couple different easy ways, and you know, man, you get the mirror, and then you're still not in go mode.
It's gonna be the vanilla swamp key, isn't it? Or maybe the pot pictures.
Pod big chest, vanilla, could be checkerboard cave.
All right, we have not seen that.
That
Or could still be Mimic Cave.
It could still be Mimic Cave.
Oh, no. I just remember like 10 to 15 minutes ago, we thought Hitsuyan was in a like kind of good spot with that T-Rock small key, and it's incredible how fast that changes. It's not vanilla.
Wow. Gem is electing to chuck this hint while he's here. It doesn't seem very likely that it would hit you towards the swamp small key, but you know, you're here, you might as well.
So I wonder if Hitsuyan actually, if he finds that mirror now, if his first move is gonna be head back to T-Rock, head over to Mimic Cave. That would be quite funny.
That would be a very impressive gamble. I do expect him to go to the fully clearable Desert Palace, which he doesn't need to do anyway, but that would be a pretty amazing play to go back to Mimic Cave.
Yeah, sadly though, that's still on Gem's radar, so...
Oh, wow.
I don't even know what to say at this point, to be honest. This seed is just a big mess.
Yeah, it looks like Gem's making that Mimic Cave play.
Yeah, so Hitsuyan really needs that small key in pod.
Yeah, he is about to get his pod big key here in Desert Palace.
Did we even... Oh, never mind. That's not a smart question. Almost did it again. So Hitsuyan secretly hoping that Gem had forgotten about that pod big chest at this point, I think. That's like his only hope in this seed.
Yeah, it's amazing that it came down to the pod big chest skip or Mimic Cave with the mirror behind a fetch quest behind the lava chest in Turtle Rock. Although if you were to ask somebody like Gem, like when you're playing this seed, you're a little bit, you know, frustrated, but at the same time, if you're the higher seed picking a mode like this is kind of why you're picking a mode like this. There is just so many rooms that you're just going over and over that you can pick up a little bit of time in. And you can see that over the course of a seed, Gem has built a pretty good lead right now.
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned, like at the very start of this, as the higher seed or like the player that, you know, if you feel like yourself are the favorite in like execution, you want the seed to be as long as possible, just to gain a little bit of time in every room here and there. Because if the seed goes on longer, you will just like stack up these little time gains, and it's gonna be an impressive lead at the end. And that's basically what's happening right now. Alright, is it gonna be in here?
Oh man, what a seed.
Alright, so at 1 hour and roughly 50 minutes, Jam found his Swamp Smoky, which puts him into go mode. Sadly for Hitsuyan, that's not gonna be in the pot big chest.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do still need to search Ganon's Tower basement for the big key, but they know it's there, and I think Gem has 3 small keys, which is all he needs to be able to full clear it. So.
Alright, we still get to do the little game after Swamp, I guess.
Yep, definitely one more item to find. They just know the general place that it's in.
So pretty rough seed. Like considering, I mean, you kind of expect to be the seed like be like 1 hour 50 to like 2 hours long, I guess, if it's like an all dungeons key sanity and maybe hard on top. But this, I think we won't be done until like I guess kind of around 210, 215.
Yeah, it really depends where that Ganon's Tower big key is, but we still have a go mode Swamp Palace here that Gem's in the middle of, and we have Aga Tower, we have the basement search and the climb of Ganon's Tower and the Ganon fight, so still quite a bit of seed left.
And Hitsuyan meanwhile making his way over to pot. Sadly not where he's gonna find that Swamp Palace Monkey. He still needs to head back into T-Rock. So both players ended up triple dipping T-Rock.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how Hitsuyan sequences in his next couple of checks here. If he does go back for Mimic Cave before some of these other checks, he won't be that far behind. Still, you know, like probably like a 5-minute deficit at that point, but not as far behind as he once was in this seed.
And knowing Hitsuyan, I kind of expect him to go into T-Rock, to be honest. If he knows he's up against a good opponent, from my experience, he tends to commit to these like crazy gambles, and they always seem to work out for him. So sadly, in this mode, Gem already like stacked up lots of time gains, and it's not going to be enough. Even though Hitsuyan was able, like, let's say he goes to Mimic Cave, he was able to skip bunch of locations compared to Gem, which pretty much did everything in the seed except for that pot big chest.
Yeah, and you know it's a good seed when you're an hour and 53 minutes in a go mode Swamp Palace and you're still picking up the safety hearts on your way to Argus.
And Gem sadly missing that zero cycle, getting a bit like ran over by Argus there. Still gets it done pretty fast.
All right. With that, Gem is going to be on his way to Ganon's Tower, and a rarity in Key Sanity, we will be searching the basement for the Ganon's Tower big key. So there are 22 locations in the basement of Ganon's Tower where that big key can be. Why don't you get your guesses in chat? We don't have an official game here on the ALTTPR channels, but you know, get a guess in, have some fun anyway.
So, what do you think where the big key is hiding today?
With this seed, man, I'm not going to say tower room, but I am going to say behind Ice Armos. So let's just say like 20.
All right, I want to see it in like spot number 2. whatever that may be. Because after that seed, I feel these guys need a break from like trolliness.
Yeah, that would be very nice if they could just almost go mode Ganstour.
Wouldn't be surprised if it's like all the way in the back or entire room itself, to be honest.
So it did look like Hitsuyan thought about leaving these two chests behind, but did end up coming back in.
I mean, you never know what your opponent might have skipped, and at like 1 hour 56 minutes, not seeing a dot done from Gem. After you yourself like did a kind of like a couple of mistakes here and there. It's gonna make you question, okay, what did he skip? Where might that small key hiding?
Well, the first two chests come up empty, and Gem is continuing on to the right side. The compass. We are going to finally see the big chest here in Palace of Darkness, and it's just a piece of art. All right, Hitsuyan.
Where do you go?
Come, Totorock. I think he might be making the play. This could be Spike Cave, but hopefully it's Mimic Cave.
And it is Mimic Cave. I mean, as I said a minute ago, I can't blame him. At this point, you start asking yourself, okay, what did Gem skip, or like, why is he not done yet?
Yeah, I completely see this play, and his situation makes sense. None of the checks that he has are really that attractive, so why don't you just go for the one that Gem would do last? That makes complete sense.
Hey, that's another GT small key.
So we're all fill up on 5 small keys right now, but we're still missing that big key. We do have that 27 item compass just counting up there for us, but we did skip the torch, so we'll have to add 1 to that for the final count.
Hey, look, it's a nice pedal small key. Gem using the bad boomerang here for the left side in GT. I think that's like the only the only good part about a boomerang in a hard seat. Is hitting these 2 switches.
Yeah, on top of the menuing, that is definitely a nice advantage to have. Gem just leaving a trail of bombs here.
Man, correct.
this scene, man, I don't know.
Might as well just go ahead and open that big chest. Just to get that full completion.
I mean, until it ends up in tile room, but yeah. Hitsuyan, meanwhile, getting that Swamp Palace small key. You can only imagine what he's thinking right about now. All right, so we're coming up on 19, 20, and 21.
It's actually 20.
Called it. All right.
Alright. So with that in hand, Gem is in actual go mode after 2 hours and 30 seconds. Setting up the tower, only has to do that. Ganon's tower climb. Has to climb another tower then. And yeah, defeat that big blue monstrosity.
Yeah, and having basically, 2 short dungeons, but dungeons nonetheless, ahead of you at the 2-hour mark is not the greatest feeling.
The only good feeling about all that stuff is your opponent has to go through the same pain as you do.
And speaking of, Hitsuyan is in Swamp Palace now, so he's going to go mode this dungeon and will be right behind Gem into Ganon's Tower. We do know it will take him quite a while to get to that big key because it's about as late as possible.
Unless he does like a full left or full right route. So I believe our tracker mentioned in chat that Hitsuyan at this point only has 2 GT small keys. I don't know if that like has an impact on his routing at all.
Now, we did get a hint very early on in the seed that, I think it was the Eastern Palace hint, actually, that the Ganon's Tower big key is in the basement of Ganon's Tower. So, very vanilla, known by our runners for quite a long time at this point.
I think they knew it around the 20-30 minute mark.
Gem just making pretty quick work of this tower. Does have to manage resources, health, magic, arrows, hard mode. Definitely makes this a little bit harder. But it does. The resource management is probably just as hard as the execution. The increased difficulty in the execution in hard mode, in my opinion.
And speaking of resources, Gem actually holding on to exactly 4 arrows, which he needs in the Ganon fight. As he collected the silvers, even though you can't see it on the top of his screen, they are still usable in the Ganon fight itself, just not anywhere else. He's probably gonna hold on to them until the very end.
Yeah, we can see just how many hearts were here in Ganon's Tower. Gem is up to 11 now, and Hitsuyan, getting his last crystal, is sitting on 8.
And again, it's probably not what you want as a runner, but probably what Gem wants in this situation against Hitsuyan. So, yeah, good for him, I guess.
Alright, and Gem starting his Agatu fight while Hitsuyan is up here floating away, grabbing some potion.
I was wondering where he would go at this point, but it makes sense.
It looks like a nice triple-double from Gem. Pretty good, and not quite time to kill Ganon yet. We still have that Aga Tower climb ahead of us.
And that's definitely something to keep in mind when you play an all-dungeon seed. It has happened before, runners jumping to the pyramid, forgetting about that. And You may engage Ganon, like the fight against him, but as soon as you enter, I think it's phase 4, he's gonna tell you that you can't hurt him because you still have some other stuff to do. And yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll tell you immediately, but you are able to get to phase 4 before it actually, you can find out by actually fighting. So make sure you pay attention to what he says to you. If he's not saying a line that you've seen before, that's probably a good indication that you need to go and do something else.
Chat saying he tells you in phase 4 instead of the Silver's Hand. I actually personally have no idea, since I've never tried that before. Anyway, we know Ganon will tell you that you can't defeat him, and you can actually not hurt him in the last phase. You gotta go clear up Agate Tower, which is considered a dungeon in this mode. Jim putting that boomerang to good use again. 2 times actually already in Agate Tower. Maybe in this next room as well if... oh, that red guard on the right cooperates, so... That's 4 useful usages of that boomerang in the seat. That's pretty good.
But not a good use of boomerang there. Just bonking off of him and knocking into the pit. Down to 2.5 hearts, but he'll be just fine from here on out. And meanwhile, Hitsuyan did opt to skip the compass room, so we'll make up a little bit of time here in his search for the Ganon Tower Big Key.
Actually not super far behind. I mean, still has a bit of stuff to do here. But considering he's up against Gem, that's not too bad of a result in my opinion.
And Aga is not letting up here, making the seed drag out a little bit more with some blue balls.
Was that 3 out of 3 blue balls yet?
It might have been.
Oh no. If we get the 15 in the seed, I don't know anymore. Alright, we dodged it. I think that's blue ball number 5.
Yeah, it's not going greatly here, but that's it. So that's the last dungeon completed, and Gem just has one last thing to do.
Hop down the hole and defeat Ganon. Gets a nice trident spin here.
Actually missed the cycle there by, I think, 3 hits potentially, maybe 4. So making sure he gets there here with the double spin.
He dodges the fire bats very nicely here. Almost in the last phase already. Let's see if he remembers to switch to the Civ arrows. And he remembers. Alright, gets a double-double.
And Jem finishes in first place within a official time of 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds. GG to Jem.
Definitely GG. That's I don't even know what to say after that seed. That was like probably one of the worst seeds I've ever seen.
It was impressively bad, yes. The only redeeming quality of that entire seed was it was a Go Mode Swamp Palace. That's the only thing you can say. So Hitsuyan getting beat up a little bit by these Vimo statues in the second Mimic room here. Actually down to 1 arrow, so just clutches it out.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Hitsuyan is actually not too far behind, and I think he played like he was supposed to play against an opponent like Jem. Just make all sorts of like gambles on items that Jem might delay for a while. It just sadly did not turn out very well for him.
I think Hitsuyan is expressing his frustration that there aren't, any arrows there. I think that might have been what he was looking for, maybe not knowing that there is just the magic bomb there. Anyway, joining us here is the winner of today's race, Jem. GG.
Hey, thanks.
So that was the seed.
Yeah, it sure was, yeah. Oh man. I don't know, I think... I don't even know what to say.
We don't know either. We've just been sitting here the last like 20 minutes thinking about what we just witnessed. Because that has to be one of the worst seeds ever played.
I think like the only thing that kind of worked out for me was the Cold Stare Death. Because that way I ended up with 4 keys in Turtle Rock, and I think Shovel was in Vanilla Big
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise I would have probably missed the mirror and had to, I don't know. Well, it would have been a triple dip regardless, because I would have cleared T-Rock the first time, but...
Yeah, that's basically what Hitsuyan, what it came down to for Hitsuyan. So both of you guys needed to triple dip T-Rock, regardless of that small key on Cold Stare or not. And yeah, and then that shovel to mirror to the swamp small key in Mimic Cave. And also I feel like personally that kind of weird logic in the very beginning with the Fire Rod in Agoner's Cave, which Hitsuyan actually picked up before doing Aga Tower. And we were wondering when you would go back in like to get that, but with that flute in Ice Palace, I believe, that actually I think that should have told you that Fire Rod is still like in these, I think, one of 3 locations you didn't check yet.
Yeah. Yeah, but luckily I didn't need it, because the lamp was on that mountain. So I just had a fire source anyway. But yeah. Silly Agana, always having something.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, that was your pick.
Yep.
Probably a smart pick in my opinion. Seeing that you're definitely the stronger player execution-wise. Hitsuyan, on the other hand, knew exactly what he had to do in this kind of mode. He was, let's say, doing interesting plays left and right with checking Catfish, which had nothing quite early, like quite a long time before you did, actually. And
Yeah, he found a lot of blue rupees before you found them.
Well, that's not good.
yeah, actually, I have a question. Did you notice that you skipped out on that big chest in Palace of Darkness?
Not until after the race.
Because we were wondering, you only had that big chest and Mimic Cave open.
Yeah, that was a mistake. I'm glad it wasn't that. It had the swamp key.
Because that would have definitely been interesting. Because Hitsuyan did not forget about that chest. He also immediately went back to Mimic Cave, or kind of immediately after clearing, what was it? Desert and Pod? No. Yeah.
Yeah, he
And-
never found the book, so that mirror was actually his entrance into Desert Palace.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so he chose that vanilla big key chest in T-Rock over Spy Cave. Maybe he forgot about Spy Cave.
Yeah, I could definitely see myself skipping out on it too. Like after Hera, I had the choice of either going directly to T-Rock or doing Spy Cave. And I don't know, the seed was kind of pointing to T-Rock, so I just kind of wanted to go there, but I just figured if T-Rock small key is in Spy Cave, it's probably a good idea to go there first.
Yeah, I think it was the right choice to just hop down, check Spy Cave real quick. Like, you only would have lost like very, very minimum amounts of time going back over to T-Rock. So I think it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. It was quite the adventure.
It sure was.
Also, that GT big key, where we got the hint quite early, also sitting in one of the very last locations.
It just had to, man. I should have known from the start and just check Tie Room and then go straight to Ice Armors.
But yeah, seeing you beat every boss with the Tempered Sword in that seed, that's pretty amazing. You found that relatively early, like way before Hitsuyan did.
Yeah, right. It's kind of cool.
But also 28 save and quits without the mirror the entire seed, that's not too surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much full clearing the entire game in 2 hours and 10 minutes. Considering that that mirror location and that Swamp Palace small key location, that's a pretty good time.
Yeah, I guess I can't be sad about that. At least boots were early, so it didn't feel bad at all.
And you did have a go mode Swamp Palace.
Yes, that's all I asked for. Early boots and go mod Swamp.
Yeah, and funnily, all these hints you guys got about junk being in Swamp Palace. I mean,
yes, so useful. At least I got to mark off 3 chests on my tracker for Swamp without clearing it fully.
Unfortunately, Hitsuyan takes a death here right before the Aga fight on that small bridge. So has to climb the Aga Tower again one more time.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this time he doesn't have magic to use the Fire Rod strat, so it will take a little bit longer.
But yeah, any last words you wanna get out there, Gem, after playing that monstrosity of a seed?
Well, just keep the early boots coming. Then I don't care what the seed looks like.
Yeah, imagine doing the sea without the boots the entire time. That would have been easily like 2.5 hours seed.
Yeah, easily. Oh man.
Man, this game can be very, very terrifying.
Yeah.
So, did you guys already schedule a second game?
Not yet.
Any idea what mode Hitsuyan is gonna pick against you?
I have no idea.
No idea. All right, I'm gonna be looking forward to that match.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not Kisanity.
Probably not. Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know.
Wouldn't be surprised if he actually vetoes Kisanity after the seat in your third match. So he has a little present for Aghanim there. I think I've never seen anyone do that.
Oh, that's funny.
That's pretty impressive there. Putting on a little show for us, just running around here.
Kind of looking for the way, opens the map, oh, and finds the hidden door behind the curtains. So he's in a Zaga fight. He will also get 5 blue balls, just as Jam did. Gonna be the same pattern for everyone.
After the first cycle, I was hoping it would be 15, but that just never
Yeah,
happens, man.
yeah, that would have been super fitting for that seat.
Yeah.
So yeah, any upcoming matches in these next few days for you? Seeing that you are, let me find you 4-0, I believe, at this point.
Yep. No, but I haven't scheduled anything yet.
All right. But yeah, starting with 4 wins into this group stage, definitely very good feeling.
Oh, yeah. Can't feel bad about that.
So, yeah, any last words maybe from your side before we move on to Hitsuyan's last minutes here?
Well, I don't know. Not really. Thanks for commentating, I guess. Thanks for tracking Portal Science. Thanks for the restream. Yeah, just thanks for doing all of this.
Yeah, thanks for entertaining us. That was quite a seat to commentate and watch. And yeah, with that, Hitsuyan enters his Ganon fight. Couple of spins, couple of slashes away from his final time here.
Getting the 2 cycle on the first phase, and using some hook shot strats for the iframes here in second phase.
I think kind of wants to use a potion at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately taking a death there. Just made it to the 3rd phase, but got sniped by that last bat.
Yeah, these bats are, like, not very kind sometimes. Yeah, I believe Hitsuyan still has at least 1 blue potion left in his inventory, so he should be fine on that fight. Getting... wants to use it now, I hope? That was kind of a close dodge there.
Yeah, he's being very aggressive at this point.
He gets sniped again. That, I mean, can't blame him. I mean, he has nothing to lose. Might as well like go a little bit of aggressive at this point. But then again, there's like nothing he really needs these potions for otherwise. because that second phase of Ganon is definitely the hardest part that he has still left to do. So
yeah, this might just be a bit of frustration coming out at this point.
I mean, it's understandable having that seed behind you. Also, losing a tourney match never feels good. But yeah, then again, Gem being the, I think, #1 seed in this group. Guess it's not wrong to say kind of expected that he's gonna win this, being very, very much known for his very good gameplay.
Yeah, it's very hard to unseat one of the top seeds in their mode of choice. So, you know, there have been a few of those so far, but not that many. And Hitsuyan did a great job trying to do what he needed to do, but just came up a little bit short. I think that was an intentional reset on that one.
Yeah, I mean, kind of shows that he's frustrated at this point, I think. So definitely can't blame him. At this point, I'm kind of curious if he actually still has these potions that I just spoke of.
Yeah, I have no idea, but this one has gone fairly well so far.
Yeah, that's like the Ganon fight in particular. If you're playing hard mode, you really want to practice like the NMG strats, especially against a player like Gem. You can save a whole bunch of time, and he actually has 2 blue potions, if I didn't mishear that.
Yeah, and it's also you know, safer really to do the NMG strats because they're really quick and they, for the most part, keep you out of danger.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that goes for almost every speed strat. We did find the arrows. Let's see. Oh, and he remembers to switch them on, so.
One more arrow.
Don't dash off. It gets it done though, so GG's to Hitsuyan here. Playing that monstrosity of a seed as well.
Yeah, and well, Hitsuyan almost dashes off the ledge for us, and
Don't do it. Alright. And finishes with an official time of, where is it? 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 7 seconds. So GG's to him. And I'm not sure if we're going to get an interview from Hitsuyan. Let's see if we can get him in here. But yeah, with that early like adventure in the back of Skywoods, can't blame him for being like super frustrated. And it's very hard like to keep your calm in this kind of seed.
yeah, it would be hard to imagine a Skull Woods that would have gone much worse, and that probably just set him on a wrong path for the seed. And now joining us for an interview is Hitsuyan1337.
GG.
Oh,
Yeah,
GG's.
GG answer.
So, quite the seed you guys played there. Any thoughts from your side?
Yeah, I lost to Skywoods and myself, I think, this match. So it was a winnable seed, I think, versus this good player. Yeah, and after the Skyward shit, I was very salty.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I know that Gem don't take the firewood at this point.
Yeah.
And I wasted my time then. And
Yeah,
after this, I only gambled and going to Zoa, buying a pottle again, and doing Skullwoods.
Yeah, that's definitely what happened. So Gem skipped out on the Agana Cave early, so you got that fire rod quite some time before he did. But sadly for you, it didn't lead to anything. So that's Skywoods play. Although we were hoping that it kind of works out for you. Sadly, only I think like triple bombs on Mothula. So yeah, and that adventure in the back of Skywoods kind of upsetting. I think it's very much understandable. But other than that, I think like in general, you did a pretty good job for like most of the seed. It was just like I personally think you did the right thing with like doing some gambles here and there, trying to get lucky against a very strong execution like player like Jam. But sadly, it didn't work out. You basically found every rupee drop before Jam got there.
Yeah, but I didn't expect that I win versus Gem. That's okay. That I lose.
Yeah, and it was still pretty close. Like when you entered the Ganon fight, I think Gem was only done for about something between 5 to 10 minutes. So after the long seed of like 2 hours 10 minutes, I think that's pretty okay. And yeah, maybe in the next game, which is gonna be a mode of your choice, things will look a bit more on your side, I guess. So any idea what mode you're going to pick for your second game?
Oh, normal, full gamble.
Oh no.
I mean, it's not a bad choice, to be honest. So I can see you pick that.
Indeed, you have everything to do. I lose safe. I think.
Yeah, I personally agree with that. Maybe there's like other opinions out there, but I definitely think open mode is a very good pick against a stronger player.
And maybe I need to practice some MMG for gaining some minutes in some rooms and Ganon fight. I don't know. I never tried things. I only playing seeds and tourney races. Yeah.
It definitely helps in a couple of rooms, or like the Ganon fight in particular. As we just mentioned, as you were finishing up that fight, like NMG Ganon strats are pretty good, since you won't be dying as much, and yeah, it's just a lot faster, a lot safer. So I just recommend personally looking that up. And yeah, other than that, I don't know if you have any questions still, correct?
No, I think you covered it all. I think you played well, Hitsuyan, and you made some pretty good plays going back towards Turtle Rock before doing some other checks, things like that, to try to give yourself an edge. And at the beginning of the seed, those things were not working out, but towards the end they did, and you made up quite a bit of time. So GG, and I can't wait to see what you have in store for Gem.
Thank you, Koek.
So yeah, any last words from you guys?
Thanks for commentating, tracking, the other stuff. Thanks for watching. And enjoying my fails.
Alright, yeah, and with that, I think we should close this off. And if you like what you saw, definitely go ahead and give these guys a follow. They've been through this torch over sea to entertain us. And also shoutouts again to our tracker, Portal Science, for keeping the tracker up to date. And also Michael K for restreaming this for us tonight. Without him, we would not have witnessed that race. And if you want more rando action, I think we have a couple of matches still left for tonight. Looking at the schedule, it seems like we have a match at 8:30 p.m. on Speed Gaming without a number, which is going to be Cadenza versus Zagadissen. We have a couple of matches at 9:30, 10:30, and in the coming hours, with people like Salty Fries, Swerp, Emosaru, and Mentos Man, along across all these speed gaming channels. So you guys know where to find that stuff. So go look it up. Go watch more rando. It's always a blast. And yeah, thanks also to Korek for being very, very pleasant to commentate with.
Yeah, and thanks to you, Thelaine. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun watching these runners take on this seed. Just a lot of great stuff here. Great execution. Routing that was good when it could be, and last location when it pretty much had to be. It was a fun one to commentate and watch. So thanks for being my wingman for it. A lot of fun. Follow the runners like Thelaine said if you like what you saw. And until next time, I've been Korek.
And I've been Thelaine. Thank you guys for watching.